Die Hard is a movie, and I'm just now learning that there are 5 Die Hard movies. I thought there was just the one. But with so many movies, there's bound to be some games on it. And yeah, there's several actually. So without any more delay, let's just get into it. Let's start with one that's not even based on a movie, Die Hard Vendetta. At least to my knowledge, it isn't based on anything. However, it does take place a few years after Die Hard with a Vengeance, which is the 3rd movie in the series. Not that I'm really sure that matters. The game starts with John McClane saying he looks awful and he needs white wine, food, and to see the opera. Didn't know he liked the opera. But before he does all that, it's TV time. He turns that thing on and what do you know, the bad guy's son from the first movie is robbing an art museum. And John McClane's daughter, who's a cop, is there too. I didn't know he had a daughter, but alright. And from that point forward, you're pretty much on your own. Just you, your revolver, and whatever else you pick up on the way. The gameplay itself is pretty simple. See things, shoot it. That's really about the extent of it. There is a stealth mechanic you can try to do, but for the life of me, I've never been able to get this to work. Except for times where it's absolutely scripted and you have to go stealth. And since it's a game based on a movie, kind of, you would imagine it doesn't have a whole lot of good gameplay. But actually, it's not half bad. It's actually kind of fun. The gunplay is pretty solid, I'd say, and the feedback from enemies taking damage isn't half bad either. I've definitely played better, but you know, for a licensed movie game, it's not too bad. Better than I was expecting, actually. This game also has a weird bullet time thing called Hero Mode. I even did the tutorial and still really don't know how to activate it, but I think it's best just to show you a clip of what it's like. The few times I've gotten this to activate, I've laughed pretty hard. It's just a little ridiculous. But sadly, after the first level, this game starts to show some major flaws. And the second level, you play as John McClane as a cop. He's in LA doing his thing when a bank is being robbed. So you run to the bank and try to stop it. The first obstacle is a hostage. First thing I do is try to sneak up on him, get rid of the bad guy and save the hostage, but no, that's not what I'm supposed to do apparently, as they execute the hostage. So then I try to take him on head on, guns blazing, but no, that's not how you're supposed to do it either. So what is the solution? The solution is to go in guns blazing, but stand in a very specific spot so the game doesn't automatically kill the hostage. And that specific spot is right in the middle of all the gunfire. And after that is another hostage in the bank. This time I think it's a bug in the game, because randomly in the middle of the conversation the NPCs are having, they'll just execute the hostage. And that's obviously not supposed to happen because they're still talking as they're gunning the poor man down. I don't know what causes this, but I eventually got a run where it worked and they didn't just kill the poor guy. Executing hostages seems to be this game's favorite thing, as there's always some sort of problem with it. My favorite example is the Chinese theater level. If you walk through the front doors on this level, a giant spaceship will fall down and kill the hostage. That sounds completely made up, but I swear it's real.
What's he doing?
And why does this happen? I have no idea. There's no indication this will happen. Even if you go the way the game wants you to, there's still no indication this will ever happen. As a matter of fact, this is where I just stopped playing the game for a while, as I tried to go in for a precise shot towards the end of the level and the game sent me to the void. So I suppose this is a good time to move on to the other Die Hard games, because of course there's more of them. Okay, this is a strange one. In America, this game is labeled as Die Hard Arcade, but everywhere else it has a different name. Some parts of the world it's called Dynamite Deca, other parts it's called Asian Dynamite. And I'm sure there's probably more. For some reason, the publisher Sega only had the rights for Die Hard in the US. No idea why. Anyway, this game has nothing to do with anything Die Hard related. Except being able to play as John McClane, and some lady, I don't know who this is. It's a beat 'em up game. I don't really have much more to say about it except that I suck at it. Well, I guess there's one thing I can say about it. It's really goofy. You go from fighting normal looking thugs to firefighters for some reason, a naked guy in a bathroom stall, and then robot turrets. It's a fun game. I like to beat up people in it, but I'm just not good at it and can't get super far in it. But it also comes with this bonus game. Yeah, interesting. I can't imagine many people were really excited for the bonus game, though. That's really all I've got to say on the subject. I figured I'd go ahead and talk about it, as I do see it mentioned from time to time. I can't lie, I haven't heard good things about this game. Well, I guess it's technically games, as it's 3 games in 1. The games are based off the first 3 movies, so let's just go in order here, I suppose, starting with the first movie. When you start a game, you're not given any controls or any hints or anything like that, you're just thrown into it. They're all relatively simple at least, especially this one. Here, all you have to do is shoot the bad guys and rescue the hostages, if you can. I accidentally killed a few hostages, but it didn't really seem to matter. Then after you've killed everyone and saved the hostages, you go to the elevator to defuse a bomb, and then it's on to the next level. And that's pretty much the entire game.
Yippee-ki-yay!
Kill all guys, save hostages, defuse bomb, next floor. It's a fun game, but it gets kinda boring real fast. The next game in this trilogy is an on-rail shooter. This would be a fun one if it worked right. While you can launch it and play it, it suffers from really bad frame rate issues. And when the frame rate slows down, the crosshair slows down, meaning you're probably gonna miss a lot of your shots. Maybe even shoot a few civilians accidentally, of course. But when the frame rate is stable, it's actually kinda fun. But that's not super often, sadly. That's really all there is to this one too, just an on-rail shooter. And the final one, at least I think, is really funny. Play as someone driving a car, I assume it's John McClane, and you go around picking up and defusing bombs. And if you fail to pick up the bombs fast enough, New York gets nuked. Okay, that's not the funny part. The funny part is how it's presented. The game gives you this really silly music to go along with your bomb diffuser, and I swear the music syncs up with when you defuse the bombs. It's hilarious. Not to mention the civilians walking around that just walk into your car, get hit by it, and then roll off and keep walking again. When you hit other cars to go flying across the road. There's no way it was meant to be this funny, but it just is. I don't know what to say. For me, this is easily the best game out of the collection. That's not it for the trilogy though. There is a second game just called Hard Trilogy 2, which doesn't really make sense, but alright. Unlike the last trilogy, this is all just one game, so you don't get to choose between different games, just the one. Anyway, unlike the last one, this game starts with a cutscene, and I'll kinda quickly summarize that. One of John McClane's friends calls him and asks him to come to a party in Vegas with him. John says why not, he's not doing anything. A riot happens at the prison they're visiting for the party, and John McClane has to deal with it. That's a really brief and maybe not so great summary, but it's pretty much what happened. Out of the cutscene, you're just thrown into it. No tutorial at all, figure it out. Okay, first of all, I admit, this game's kind of fun. It's not high-class gaming by any means, but fun is fun. I really like the soundtrack too. The first level plays a lot like the first game from the first trilogy. It's not one-to-one, but there's similarities for sure. And the level after that is an on-rail shooter, and the frame rate's better, making it for a much more enjoyable experience. And the level after that is a driving segment. I'm noticing a pattern here. This is pretty much the first trilogy, just reskinned with like a Vegas theme kinda. And you don't get to choose what game to play. That's really disappointing. And with that, I think I've had my fill of Die Hard. I do have a few honorable mentions though of games I couldn't get any footage of. There's Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza. This is an old Windows FPS game based on the first movie, but it's so old I just couldn't get it to work at all. There's also Die Hard for iOS and Android. This game, you play as John McClane's son. I thought he had a daughter, but okay. It's pretty much an endless runner in what looks like some sort of nuclear wasteland. This one just isn't around anymore. I can't find a download for it anywhere. So I can't really cover that. And that's about it. I'm sure there's a few I missed, but that's about enough Die Hard for me now. But if you liked the video, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a like. If you like content like this, maybe even subscribe. I upload every now and then. But that's about it for me. I'll see you next time.